Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I think today is a particularly exciting day because we'll be talking about teaching and learning, and essentially those are the things that let us do the cool research that we heard about in the previous 3 days. So yeah, the teaching, the learning, it's essentially it's what helps us be who we are. It's the reason why some of us are in science, and yeah, but it's not always fun, and it can be very scary. And quantitative science particularly, I think, has a long history of unintentionally sometimes being used to like kind of keep people away and to only allow certain kinds in, you know, the mathy people, and like the less you understand an equation, the smarter that the person who puts up the equation must be. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of stigma and a lot of anxiety and fear around quantitative science and quantitative ecology too. So in my talk today, I'll try and share my experience and ways that we can try and overcome all that and make quantitative learning actually fun and inclusive for a wider range of people. So we all wear many hats, and here you can see me collecting data in the field, and also me at the Google Earth Engine Data Science Conference. And we all do many other things on top of that. And I seem to have bad posture regardless of what I do. But aside from that, I think it can be quite scary and intimidating when you know you got your PhD position and you managed to get funding and you've learned how to make all right slides and you've learned how to write okay, and some of us have learned a new language, some of us have, you know, gotten used to another culture, another country, and then on top of that it's like, oh, you got English down, well, you have to learn another language too, R, and you have to learn all about statistics, and it can be quite overwhelming. And that's what happened to me as well. So it feels slightly surreal to be here talking to you about teaching and learning quantitative skills when, like, my very first marked R assignment, I got my friends to help me with it. And yeah, so if you're feeling scared, it wasn't really that long ago when I was in your place. But there were 3 specific things that helped me along the way and things that helped me help others afterwards. So in my talk, I'll tell you a bit about Coding Club, and then an undergraduate course at the University of Edinburgh called Data Science in Ecology and Environmental Science. And then I'll wrap up by telling you more about an online course we just did, which is, I guess, particularly relevant in this day and time of everything being online. So Coding Club, essentially, it all started with a dream, and the dream was to have a place where everyone can learn in a safe environment, and we wanted it to be friendly, not assessed, and yeah, we wanted it to just be like a place where you can feel the joy of learning, a place that empowers people to make their research better. And what was really instrumental in Coding Club existing was a supervisor of mine, Dr. Isla Meyer-Smith, believing in myself. So I had just finished my 4th year at the University of Edinburgh, and Isla said, oh, it'd be great if there's this like initiative, maybe we can call it Coding Club, and people can come together, they can code, and it can all be like, you know, jolly and fun. And she did also mention, and hopefully, like, you know, we can create an environment where more women and more diverse people come in, and it's not just the sort of the traditional people you might expect to be doing coding. And the more I heard about it, the more I was growing annoyed, because I had just finished the university, so I felt like, well, that's great. I would have attended if you had made it happen while I was still going to uni, but now it's too late. And then Isla corrected me, no, I don't want you to attend, Gergana. I want you to lead it. And so that's how I found myself the year after, leading my very first coding workshop. The electricity cut out, the internet was down, and yeah, the R version was not the right one, and like there were all sorts of problems happening, but we did have cookies with like R piped on it. We also had pipes piped on cookies, for those of you who would appreciate the tidyverse humor. And people showed up, and more people showed up than what people thought would happen. And people kept coming back, and we're all learning how to teach. But yeah, people embraced our mistakes, and I think people liked the fact that we were making mistakes. So Coding Group grew quite a lot. And yeah, so there's a website, and some of you maybe have seen the website already. So essentially, it's a peer-to-peer initiative. It's led by myself and a great team of undergraduate students, PhD students, and some staff members. And we used to do a mix of online tutorials and in-person workshops. Like everyone will be adapting to the times and changing our ways a bit. But for the last 3.5 years, we've been making our website better. We've been adding more and more tutorials, and we've been seeing more and more people engage with them. So what does it look like in practice? So if you go to the website, you can go to the tutorials tab, and there you'll find our collection on a range of topics. And it's constantly growing, and we are open to other people contributing tutorials as well. And so if any of you find that there's a topic that's missing on our website and would like to write that tutorial, definitely feel free to get in touch. Here, for example, you can see our data visualization tutorial, and it's meant to be like a self-sufficient resource. So like you can take the tutorial and do it in your own time. All the data are there, all the instructions, and we've tried to be fun and conversational in our descriptions. And for example, a piece of feedback we got was that our tutorials have a great storyline. And I guess like research, everything like in the end comes down to the story. So we can use these stories. It might be stories about making a histogram, but still, we can try and be more engaging in our writing, and that way we can widen our reach. And when we do our workshops, what happens is that yeah, we send out bazillion emails. I'm like the University of Edinburgh mass spammer, and then anyone's welcome. People can come from other institutions in Edinburgh as well. A few people took the train from Stirling and Glasgow, so there aren't really any restrictions. And we do a brief like chat about here's what we're going to learn today at the start, but it's really, really very brief. And then we tell everyone to open the tutorial. And yeah, what we do is usually like we tell people to have the tutorial on half the screen and then R on the other half, and that way you can read and follow along and do things at your own pace. And we found that this is an approach that works quite well, because everyone's doing things at their own rhythm, and you're not feeling the pressure of like, ooh, so and so is going by like way quicker. And likewise, if you're a quick coder and if you've already been doing this for a while, you don't feel like, oh, this is so slow, I need to like wait for everyone else. So being able to do things at their own pace, I would say one of the things that helped us work quite well. Ooh, and now it's not moving. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, so over the last 3.5 years, we've had over 400,000 unique users, and 15% of them keep coming back. Now, this might not sound like a really big number, but if you've ever dealt with website statistics, like you'd know that like a lot of the page views you get are not real people. And yeah, so if 15% of people who look at our website come back, we think this is quite a good indication that people enjoy the tutorials and they want to learn more and more. And all of this goes to show that beyond just coding club, there is an appetite out there. People want to learn these quantitative skills. And we've had, yeah, now we're nearing the 1 million page views, and it's quite exciting to see people from like all over the world join in as well. Yeah, so through starting something that to us felt quite like small at the beginning, we were like we wrote a bunch of tutorials, we put them on the website, and yeah, it was small at the start, and now it's growing and growing, and it's helping us reach diverse audiences around the world. And like for all of our team members, it's very inspiring to hear back, and like people say really, really nice things about how they were scared, but our tutorials helped them. And it's not just for PhD students or postdocs, and we see people from like NGOs and environmental consultancy companies and not just ecology even. So for example, we're quite popular in Denmark in sports science and like informatics and yeah. And another experience that for me sort of helped communicate how as quantitative ecologists we're actually like quite powerful in a way is that we held a workshop on Bayesian modeling in Stan, so another programming language, and we had a couple people from the maths department coming, and as they left, they sort of looked back and just said, "I never thought that I'd be coming to geosciences to learn about stats." And yeah, so I know that we can all be hard on ourselves, but yeah, when you're struggling, remember that actually like you probably know a lot, and if you don't know a lot yet, you're on your way there. And we have quite a big, like powerful amount of knowledge. And yeah, and it's also skills that are widely transferable to other disciplines as well. Yeah, and another thing we do is that we give undergraduates the opportunity to teach as well. And so in the first photo, you can see Claudia and Sam, and here they are teaching the Intro to R workshop to their peers. And yeah, so we have funding, and anyone who works for Coding Club gets paid. And it's quite empowering for people because for undergraduates like Claudia and Sam, this is their first like real science job. And like some of the people we've worked with, when like we don't pay millions, we pay the like the standard University of Edinburgh tutorial rate. But when some people hear that, they're just like, "You're gonna pay me how much?" And it helps build confidence, and it helps people understand that their skills are actually worthy. And yeah, we used to have lots of cookies. You can see some of the cookies in the first photo as well. So I guess now we need to find other ways to lure people in. And we try to like open the workshops to any career stage. Every once in a while we see professors and like other generations of scientists come in. And yeah, so it's we try to make it all very chill. Like we don't care if people are late or if people want to leave early. Like, we just want people to be able to get what they want from the workshops, and they don't need to come to all of them as well. So if you're just interested in one, you can just come to that one. Yeah, so in general, it is quite fun. And then people like myself and others tend to mingle around, and we ask people how they're doing. And we try to keep in mind that not everyone will actually raise their hand. So some people might be stuck, but they wouldn't say so. So yeah, we're like, I'm usually the person who sort of creeps behind you a little bit and is like, "How's it going?" And it's like, "Oh, I see you haven't saved your script. Did you know that it's a great idea to save your script?" And so on. And sometimes people stay behind and like ask their own questions about their own data. And yeah, so it's in general quite a jolly place. It was my favorite thing to do on a Wednesday afternoon. And now I have to think about next semester. And yeah, so Coding Club will keep going, but we will have to change things. And so we'll move online. We have the advantage of like all of our tutorials are already online. So what we will need to transfer online is just the part where people do the workshops together and people can ask questions and their tutors who are available. So we'll pick an app out of the many apps available, and yeah, and we'll still have our tutors, and we'll still be there waiting for people to ask their questions, and we'll probably keep our usual time slot as well. And we're also considering opening the workshops to people beyond Edinburgh, and we'll probably need to set some sort of a people size limit just to keep things manageable, because we still want to be able to offer the same quality of input. And yeah, but we'll try and use the situation to increase our reach a little bit. And just as a reminder, like all of the tutorials are open to anyone, anywhere. So it's just, I guess, our team answering questions that before used to happen purely in person in Edinburgh, but now we're gonna try and take that online. And we were thinking also that if people choose to type the questions to us and we type our answers back, then we can use the situation to create a useful library of questions and answers, and we'll post that to our website as well. And Coding Club was going so well that ironically, in a non-assessed environment, some of the students were asking, "Oh, it would be great if we can be marked for this." So perhaps you know you're doing something well when students ask you to assess them on it, even though you initially didn't want to. So we wanted to then create a course, and it was again Isla, so Dr. Isla Meyer-Smith, my supervisor, who led the creation of the course, and it's a fourth-year honors level course. And for those of you not in the UK, it's basically the last year of undergraduate study for students. And we wanted to keep the Coding Club ethos, and we still wanted the course to be fun and accessible, and we still wanted the course to be open to people at all learning levels and abilities at the time. Yeah, so the course has now been running for 2 years, and we've had lots of good feedback, a lot of suggestions on how to be even better. And overall, I would say it's been the most rewarding course that I've taught on. And over the next little bit, I'll run you through some of the practicalities of how we made the course work. And perhaps that'll be helpful for any of you who are also considering doing more teaching online or have to do it, I guess. So the course, it's run entirely on GitHub, which is this the code sharing platform that data scientists use the most. And this has a few advantages. So all the students keep access to their work, and it's a more real-world data science experience. There's no Learn, no Blackboard, no emails, and yeah, and it's also free if you are working at a university. So it's I guess I think it's a great platform. It does come with the disadvantage that if you're not proficient in Git and GitHub already, you have to learn it, but it's not that hard. So myself and Isla, we hadn't really checked out GitHub education until like kind of the week before the course started, and then we were like, oh, guess we have to figure out how to do those assignments now, right? And it wasn't that hard. Like, it is actually organized in quite a convenient way that makes sense. And yeah, and I think it's particularly valuable for students to, you know, actually own their work and have access to it after they graduate. And so each student has a repository, and that repository is theirs. Like we assessed it, you know, way back in May, but now they can keep doing whatever they want with it. And the way GitHub education works is essentially you log in and you can create assignments. And so here you can see we had 4 challenges last year. We had one on data wrangling, one on data journalism, a stats modeling one, and one on Earth observation. And so you make your challenge, and you create a file that has all the descriptions and all the instructions. It might have code in some cases, like bits of starter code that then the students adapt. And you have an invitation link, and then you just send that to the students. And when they click on the link, that creates their own repository for the specific challenge. And when we click on each challenge, we can see all of the student submissions, and you can set a deadline on it, so you don't have to worry about oh, what if this student is trying to, like, you know, be sneaky and work for longer. Like, it's all there. It's very, very transparent. And actually we give 5% of our marks or something like that for consistency, because the advantage of GitHub is that we can actually see, oh, did this student like upload all the code in one go at the very end, 5 minutes before the deadline, or did they consistently work on this assignment and they got feedback from their peers, they implemented it. And yeah, so it's also very good for group challenges, because you know, when everyone complains about how group projects are so unfair, well, they can still be unfair, but with GitHub you can see who's being the unfair one. And we actually went through this in the class with people, so they got to see it. And so we clicked on a group, and people's names show up. And so it's kind of like, I guess, we didn't mean to shame people, but we wanted to show that, you know, you really should be a good team member, because we can see it. Like, we can see how many lines of code you've written. And I think that helped people embrace the group challenges a bit better. And on our end, well, we all appreciated the lack of emails, and we all communicate through issues. And if you haven't been using GitHub, basically it's like a forum that you have, and you can post different threads and tag them, and yeah, and essentially we encourage students to post those issues, and that way a lot of the problems, they sorted them out themselves. Like instead of us getting 20 emails like, oh, I can't find the data, where's the link? One person asks, oh, where's the link? And then another more observant student replies with the link, and it's sorted. And I think it teaches students to be more independent as well. Yeah, and we can see all of the participation of the different people. So from a marking point of view, that's also quite good. And we wanted to make it real world, and in a real world scenario, people do give each other a lot of feedback. Like, you're often, if you're working as a software developer, you're usually part of a team, and there's a lot of, you know, collaborative work, there's code and such. And so we wanted to encourage that, and that's why we decided to actually give marks for giving feedback and for implementing feedback. And what this means is that so we randomly allocate students to each other, and student A would have to give feedback to student B, and the first student will get marks for giving thoughtful, well typed out feedback, but then also the second student will get marks for implementing the feedback or explaining why they decided not to do it. And it all creates a nice atmosphere. People are very polite in issues usually, so I think it makes for just a nice environment to learn in. And it is also probably the most shocking course that students do. And there's a face at the beginning that we see when students just sort of look around and they're like, oh, what did we get ourselves into? And it is a steep learning curve, but they tend to rise to the challenge, and they do really well. And so the students, they have to go to the coding club tutorials, and then they also have additional free contact hours in which the course meets. There are no lectures or anything, but we just talk about how they're getting on with the tutorials. We talk through the individual challenges, the group challenges. The students ask a lot of questions, and we do some quick hackathons sometimes, and we have a career day as well. And the final assignment, the culmination of the course, is that each student has to make a coding club tutorial. And I think it's a really good assignment because anyone, regardless of their level, can do it. Because you can make a tutorial on something very simple in a sense, but it can still be a great tutorial. Or you can take on, you know, mixed effect models and random intercepts and slopes, like the subject might be more complex, but if you haven't explained that in a good way, then you're not going to get a great mark. So that's one of the ways in which we're able to let people with all sorts of levels of knowledge actually engage with the course. And and we've seen so many success stories in the course, and it's only been 2 years. And for example, we had a student, Maud, who she was quite nervous at the beginning. She had like every possible GitHub problem you can imagine, but that actually made her quite strong because she knew afterwards how to find the solutions. And she made a spatial analysis tutorial for her final assignment, and it was the highest mark in the course that year. And we published the tutorial on the actual Coding Club website. And last year, Maud came back to lead a workshop on her own tutorial. and now she's about to start a PhD. And yeah, so seemingly small things can really change the trajectory of a person. And many of our graduates are now in data science jobs. And those are real smiles here. I have many staged photos, but this is one of the real ones. And a lot of people say that the coding club and data science have been really, really good for them, and they've really enjoyed them. And as teachers, that makes us really happy, and it's what motivates us to keep going and to keep finding other ways to spread the quantitative knowledge. And the final way that I'll mention is through online courses. So around 2 years ago, we had our tutorials on the website, and we were thinking that maybe initially we're thinking, well, maybe we should organize our tutorials better, and sort of try and, it comes back to the story. So we wanted to sort of have a story around them and have a more clearly outlined journey. So it can be a bit overwhelming. You open the website and there's many, many tutorials, and you're a bit like, oh, where do I start? And around the same time, we learned about the funding opportunity from the Scottish Data Lab, and it was to create an online course. And we applied, and we were successful. And so the course is now real. It exists, and anyone can sign up. So it's called Data Science for Ecologists and Environmental Scientists, and it's fully free, and you can do it at your own time. We don't really have any periods when the course is running. It's like, in a way, always running, and we transferred some of the coding club principles. So we don't care if people just do one tutorial. Like, you don't need to finish the course. You can engage with it as much as you want, and we don't care if you do one tutorial this year and then 5 years later you do the other 10. It's all up to you. It's very free in a sense. And the course has 3 different streams, and in total there are 16 tutorials. And then if people want to engage with more tutorials, then there's more on the website. And the new addition, so the thing that sets apart the course from the tutorials, is that we have 3 different practical challenges. And so for them, we haven't given out the answers. And so it's essentially an opportunity for people to apply the skills that they've gained through doing the tutorials. And we also have some quizzes, and you can get a certificate about your work. And one thing in terms of a challenge along the way for us was, well, first we didn't really know how to make a course, like in terms of the actual practical side at the beginning, like, how do people sign up? How do you do the quizzes? But we had a great person, Sandra Anger Blondan, working on our team, and she figured out all the apps, and I think they're working quite well. And so we designed it all ourselves, which means that there are parts of it which are not perfect, but it is an ecology course, like fully made by ecologists. And so it has the different streams, and so there's one that's more introductory, starts from scratch. And you also have a fully data visualization one, which is my personal favorite because I love making graphs. And then we have one about different types of statistical modeling. And it's also not a static course, so we'll keep developing it further and adding more as we go. And we've heard that our challenges are actually challenging, so in a way good. That's how we wanted them to be. And I think we've tried to work really hard to create materials that make people think and actually, consider why they're doing what they're doing. And people can do the quizzes anytime. And if anyone's curious about the more practical sides of it, so we're using Shiny apps. And if you want to find out more, feel free to let me know afterwards. And we wanted to have everything either on Shiny or on GitHub, because that way we can make the course fully free for people. So a lot of the online course platforms, you can do the course for free, but if you wanted to get a certificate, you have to pay for your certificate. And in our case, the certificate is fully free as well. And this is kind of what it looks like. So you you can go to our testing center, and you can choose which quiz you want to do, and each has around 10 questions, and yeah, so some of them have code, others are just about thinking. And I did this quiz quickly just to make the video, and I didn't nail it, I have to say. So I think the quizzes are good for making you think, because you'll see my score comes up in a little bit. It's not bad, but I could have been better. And yeah, so it's a way for people to see, like, you know, how are they actually doing, and you can see your answers afterwards. And yeah, so it's yeah, I got 9 out of 10, which is not bad, but still, given that I wrote the tutorial, I probably should have done better. Yeah. And we've had, now we're near 2,000 users from all over the world. Most of them are students, but some of them are either professionals or academics after the student level. And in terms of the future, we're thinking that we've had some feedback that it'd be great if people are able to retake quizzes. So that's a feature we don't have now, but we're looking to implement it. And that way, you know, if you get 0 or 1, 2, 3, whatever, like kind of a lower score, and if you don't want your certificate to say, oh, you got 5% on intro to database, you'd be able to go back to the tutorial, see what you've missed, you know, do a bit more practice and retake the quiz. And we're also thinking of ways to foster more interactions between the different people who are doing the course. And that's an area that I'd be happy to discuss in the discussion session afterwards with you all as well. And if any of you want to get involved, feel free to get in touch. We also have a job position available. And if anyone wants to find out more, if you're interested in online course development, feel free to get in touch. All of our tutorials are available under a Creative Commons license, so they're fully free. Anyone can use and adapt them. Or if you want to write a tutorial, feel free to get in touch too. And yeah, so it's like, for me, like, looking back, I've been in uni now for 9 years, and the coding club has been one of the bright stars along the way, and it's made my journey so much better. And I'm really excited to see that it has helped change other people's lives for the better too. And yeah, thanks to all of our great team members. I ran out of space, and for some people I didn't have photos, so there's even more people. And yeah, Coding Club and all the other initiatives that started from it, they've all been a big team effort, and it wouldn't be here if it weren't for the people. So it goes to show that, you know, we can all be teachers and learners at the same time. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about teaching and learning in the rest of the session.